Well, hello there, and thank you so much for joining us today right here on CAC TV. This is the Trauma Healing Program by the Bible Society of Kenya, and my name is Faith Kaulu. Today we are touching on the trauma of rape, or just helping someone who has been raped. It is such a painful ordeal, and so that is why we are bringing the discussion today on board. Last week we focused on helping children who have experienced trauma, and something that definitely we learned from the episode is that children need someone to listen to them. They need comfort. You know, parents should listen to their kids and pray with them as well, especially now that children are back to school. Now, one of those traumas that children can experience is rape, and our discussion today is not centered on children only, but as well as adults who experience rape and are left with wounds to heal and to just forgive the rapist and to find healing. And with me today is Gladys Kibui, who is a life coach minister. Thank you so much for being here, Gladys. And at the very far end is Wanja Ndungu, who is a trauma healing facilitator. Thank you as well for being here. Before we get into the discussion, you can talk to our viewers briefly, introduce yourself and more of what you do. We'll start with you, Gladys.
Thank you, Faith. My name is Gladys Kibui. I'm born again. I'm a life coach minister. What that means is that I help people come from their woods to a place of growth through their pains. I'm a counselor, and I work also with the Bible Society of Kenya, where we envision people who are transformed by the use of scriptures. We do this by translating the Bible into our heart languages, and so far in Kenya we have done 25 languages, and we do that. We also do the publishing of the Bible that we have translated, and then distribute those Bibles. And we do not leave the Bible at your table, in the office or at home. What we also do is that we advocate for the use of that Bible. We want you to take that Bible and start using it. Trauma healing is one such program, and of which I'm a training facilitator. Thank you.
All right. Wanja.
Hi viewers, my name is Wanja Ndungu. I do trauma healing. I'm a facilitator with the Bible Society of Kenya. Outside of that, I'm a nurse by profession.
Okay.
I'm also a counseling psychologist, and I also run an organization. It's called the Sisters Workshop. It's in Nanyuki, and this place is a center for empowerment for women. And these are the women who have gone through all kinds of trauma. I mean, from domestic abuse, from rape, molestation, drug addiction, and everything, you know, a lot of things that women go through. So we have that in Nanyuki, and we help women, because that is my passion and my vision, to get women out of what they are going through.
Okay.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Now, even today, as we discuss about the trauma of rape, we acknowledge that this is a very sensitive topic, but we are hoping that by the end of this program, you'll find healing, you'll find hope, you'll find forgiveness. So share the link to this video streaming live on our Facebook, CAC TV Kenya. Let someone tune in as well as interact with us. If you have questions, comments, leave them. We will get to them. You can SMS us through our number, which is 0111 220044. That is 0111 220044. So let's make the program interactive. Now, as we are talking about the trauma of rape, there has been so many definitions of rape, and you know, for someone who's undergone rape or has been raped might wonder, if I report this, is this rape? You know, they don't even know what is the definition of rape. So let's start there, Gladys. As simple as we can put it, what is rape?
Thank you, Faith. Rape can be defined simply as sexual act or sexual intercourse without consent. Any forced act of having sex. So anytime that you just think about sex where somebody has said no to the sex and then you force your way into sex, that is rape. And rape happens often when it can happen when there is war, but often it happens to a girl or a woman. It can also happen to a man or a boy. That is what rape is.
Oh, thank you. I like the fact that you said without consent, you know, which means it can happen even in a relationship and in marriage. doesn't have to be a stranger or someone who your relatives and you're not in any sexual encounter with. So even in marriage, there could be rape. Let's look at then, why would someone rape, you know? Because most often we blame the victim. You dressed sexually, you looked at them in a way that was suggestive. So other than putting blame on the victim, why would drive a rapist to do this sexual act?
Yes, so I can answer that. Rape is not necessarily influenced or caused by the way someone is dressed or the way someone looks, yeah? Because we look at cases where a man rapes a child.
Yeah.
This child is not dressed in any way that is going to draw this man into, raping them. A small boy, gets sodomized maybe by an uncle or by a father or somebody like that. And there is nothing that is attractive to, about them that will cause them to attract that act of rape. So the idea of raping is usually a desire to hurt somebody.
Okay.
It's a spirit that just causes someone to do something that is harmful to another person, because in essence it's not because of the person who is being raped, it's the person who is raping who has this need to harm someone, or it's something almost like a control thing, and it's something that is based on maybe a past experience. So for example, there's some young men who get sodomized when they are small, or they get molested when they are small, and so when you do that to a young boy, you take away their sense of control, and because of taking away that sense of control, then it is going to make them want to harm somebody else so that they can feel that they are in control. So those are one of the things, and maybe one of the things that can cause someone to want to rape somebody.
To want to feel in control.
Yes, to want to feel in control.
Yeah, Gladys, would you like to add something?
Thank you. Rape, as Waja has said, it is a question of wanting to dominate somebody.
Yeah. And
it can be caused, as she has said, by past experiences. And Kasha is also one of the main contributors to this. How does cultural beliefs contribute to this? One example is when men are supposed to be sexually aggressive. And when men want to prove that they are sexually aggressive, they go ahead and they start looking for women that they can sleep with. And then culturally, they believe that there is this belief that women don't ever say yes. When they say no, they mean yes. Every time that you are going to have sexual relationship with somebody and you believe that when she has said no, she means yes, that constitutes a rape because she has not consented to that sex.
Yeah.
And you can imagine that will happen between relatives, incest. It can happen even in marriage. As Faith said, it happens even in marriage. I'm not interested in sex, but you think that I am your object or you own me. And that one brings the second aspect of Kasha that promotes rape. The fact that there is a lot of belief that women belong to men. These are my object, I can do whatever I want with this woman. That is another cultural thing. So those two cultural things are the main causes of men wanting to have dominion on women, and therefore blaming the women for what they do as rapists. And that is what is keeping this subject unresolved, because as long as it is blamed on the women, as long as women are treated as objects, there is no way that we are going to resolve the rape issue. Thank you.
Something you mentioned that I really like is that culturally, men are taught that women say no, but they actually mean yes. They want it, say they ignore the fact that there's no consent because they believe you are saying no, but deep down, I know you want it. And that is wrong, which now, of course, then turns the sexual encounter into rape. Wanja, I want to look at how rape affects the victim. And you are a survivor of rape, yeah? So can you do share with us, how did that ordeal affect you?
Yeah, now I have that experience of rape. Going back, I was a born again Christian at 13 years old.
Okay.
So how this is the damage that rape can do. From being a born-again young girl, spirit-filled, speaking in tongues, and as a virgin girl at 22 years old, I was raped. And from that rape that happened, from who I was before, I turned out to be completely opposite of who I was. From being that virgin girl and, church going, holy, everything, I now became, in the essence, in numbing that pain. Because, when that rape happened, I know I became numb, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, in every way. And so I turned out, in order to numb that, because I could not speak to my parents, because the whole community knew that there's a born-again girl, I could not speak to the people in the church. And in that incident of rape, I got pregnant. So even before I have gotten off the numbness of the rape, then I realized I'm pregnant. And it led to me doing or having an abortion, because how was I going to come out and tell people who had this image of me that, I'm pregnant? How do I even explain how I got pregnant? So that is what we do. We hide it because it's too shameful. Because rape destroys the very essence of your being. You do not even know how to relate in your mind. Your mind cannot connect with what has just happened. And so that's what happened with me. And so I turned over to being someone who was now an alcoholic, promiscuous, because it can go either way. You can either be very promiscuous or you can hate men completely. So it can go either way. And then I went on to depression, suicidal thoughts. I mean, it was a long process of a lot of things that happened as a result of that act. And they were not things that I did consciously, because I actually put it all the way at the back. I nabbed it to a point where I did not remember. It is just that the actions were so evident that there is something that was wrong. Even I personally could not explain why, because I nabbed that and I kept it away, and it was hidden somewhere in the archive. So it was not even coming up anywhere until 15 years down the line, when I was able to. I was now already an alcoholic, homeless, depressed, suicidal, I mean, all those things. And obviously rejected. Obviously, I had gone through a lot of abuse by men. And so I resorted into a homeless person. I ended up in a rehab center. And in that rehabilitation center, which was a Christian rehab center, is where somebody who came to preach in that session, one of the sessions, looked at me and said, there is something that you need to heal. There is something that has caused you to be where you are. And in 15 years, I remembered the rape. I remembered the abortion. And that is how it happened. That is how it happened, as in, it changed me from this person to this person I didn't know. Yes.
And for that long, you held on to the pain.
Yes, I held on to the pain. I nabbed the pain with everything else outside of dealing with the pain, because I didn't even know what I was going through.
Well, thank you for being so candid. We'll definitely get to the healing part, so that you can walk with us to how you even forgave the person who raped you, to how you opened up and now being able to speak about the ordeal as you've just done right now. But right now, let's look at Gladys. He's a victim of rape. We've mentioned that it can happen in marriages as well. So then how does it affect someone's marriage? Could be the husband is the rapist or just anyone, but this is a married person, either male or female. How does rape affect the victim's marriage and family?
Thank you, Faith. Waja has just told us what happens, how it affects the victim. And one of the things that she has mentioned is that you can become over-sexualized or become rigid. You don't want sex anymore. And you are probably, in addition to that, you can be angry with men. Generally, you don't want anybody. Or if it's a woman, if it's a man, with women, you can be angry with the opposite gender or the person who raped you.
Yeah.
And that affects the marriage in that you no longer be a participant in sex, so you don't want any more sex. Or even your partner can now view you as a dirty person, as a person who is demon infested, as a person who is just ashamed, and they no longer want to be associated with you. In some communities, when people who have raped, or somebody who has raped you is a known person, they may now empathize with you and just comfort you. But if it is somebody who is a prestigious person, a rich person, a wealthy person, they may want to cover up that issue and do things under the table so that you are left there, outside there, unknown, and in the secret, in a secret corner, dying alone with your trauma. And also, if you become expectant, it's another effect of the rape, and you bring up that child, the child may be hated by that family, and then you as a victim and the entire family may punish that child, and all those kind of effects that comes to the family. And there are many others. You can think about what you are going through. If you have ever gone through rape, you can think about how people judged you, how people looked at you and they said you are the one who took yourself there, you dressed wrongly, you are in the wrong places, you attracted the person, you spoke to the person, you are just playing hard to get. All that judgment and condemnation, and they completely isolate you from God. As you have heard Waja say, she was no longer that Christian girl, that spirit-filled girl. She no longer had interest in going to church. The church probably will look at you and say, you have just backslidden, and they don't even touch you. So you are separated from God, from His truth, from His love, from yourself, and from others. She said she got disintegrated completely, and she became a totally different person. Those are the effects that comes to your family and to the community at large.
Yeah. There's something you mentioned about if your husband or your partner, could be your wife as well, knows that you have been raped, they could view you as dirty, as shameful, and this has made me think that this could be the reason that a victim of rape would keep quiet and not speak about it, because they don't want to be judged and to be looked at as shameful. Which I believe is very sad, and we should create a safe space for victims to be able to speak up and get help. Now, let's turn this around to, from the victim to the rapist. And let's look at now, how does rape affect the rapist? We've seen at how it affects the victim. So now, how does it affect the rapist? I'd like to hear this from both of you. Let's start with you, Anja.
Okay, most of the time when we think about the rapist, the first thing that comes to mind is how you want to kill that person.
Yeah, sure.
So you do not even want to think about what is the background of this person, what may have caused this person to do what they did. We don't think about the rapist. We never do.
Yeah.
But evidently, there is something that happens to a rapist, because he's a human being. He has conscience. He knows he has done something wrong. And so, in that way, it does not, for some, they will feel, you know what, I was in control. They'll even be proud of the fact that they did that.
Sure.
And they'll go along and even be proud of it and even talk about it. But on the other side, there are some people who can, the guilt can follow them, and it can be so strong to the point where even when someone was not like alcoholic, they can go up and now start drinking because they want to nab the fact that they did something wrong to somebody, because it's bothering them.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it may depress them so much or affect them so much that these people may end up even committing suicide because they did something wrong. They don't know how to talk about it. Maybe they are ashamed to talk about it, and so they take it to the grave by maybe committing suicide. And so a rapist also suffers. Some do, some don't. So it also depends on the person, because if this person has done this because of some underlying issues, things that have happened in the past, then he probably doesn't even know why. Why am I acting this way? Why did I do something as bad as that? They haven't been able to relate their action to their past. And so that will cause them to be so affected. But if this person is just arrogant and just wanting to do something just out of arrogance, then they will go on and be proud of the fact that they did something.
And they felt in control.
And they felt in control.
Very profound. Yes. Gladys.
Thank you. As Waja has said, the initial feeling of a rapist after the rape is that they have accomplished a goal, they have met a goal. They have that momentary joy that they feel that they have done it. But after that, something suddenly dies in them, and they feel sad, and they feel depressed, and as Waja has said, they can go to drugs, they can go to alcohol, they can even now escalate their raping so that they numb the pain that they are going through. So you can see that just by the fact that they are human, they will also be traumatized by the very act that they have done. This brokenness that we all experience is in all of us. Even that rapist will also go through the same trauma in a way that it's self-destructive. So that is why we consider that if we have to solve the problem of rape, we have to approach it from both directions. Help the rapist as well as the victim, as well as the family. All of us need healing as far as rape is concerned.
I believe a lot of people have questions regarding, helping the rapist with what they've done. So when they ask, is that right? Really, why do we need to help the rapist?
Thank you. I remember when we did the first, the earlier sessions, in lesson number 3, we said that at the time of crisis, when any type of crisis happens, including rape is one of the crises, when it happens, the first reaction or the first village, the first stop that you are in is a village of anger. And it is okay for people to feel angry. For people to rage with anger at the bitterness and they want to tear this person into pieces. It's normal. What is not normal is that if we allow them to live in that stage of anger, forever being angry with the rapist, because as we have seen, both the raped person, the victim, and the rapist, they all suffer. And if we have to allow suffering to continue, Galatians 5:16 tells us that if you keep on biting one another, you finish one another. So instead of making too many loans and they continuing to bite one another, when a rape has occurred, it is better to stop it by just looking back at the scene. Why don't we also help the rapist so that rape stops? We stop biting one another. He stops raping and everything will be healed.
Very well put indeed. As much as they've caused pain, they deserve healing. Thank you for that. Dear viewer, we are taking a very short break. Do not go too far because we'll be right back. So right now, go to our comment section on Facebook, CAC TV Kenya, or YouTube as well. Talk to us. Let us know any questions you have or comments. We will look right into them. So stay tuned.
Our world needs humble, confident, bold, and integrity-infused leaders.
Live online, Thursday through Friday, October 14th and 15th, 2021. Join thousands of curious, growth-minded, change-driven men and women like you for the premier leadership event of 2021, the Global Leadership Summit. Some of the world-class faculty includes Craig Goshel, Senior Pastor of Life Church, Jami Lima, Richard Montanes, who started off as a janitor and rose to be a top executive. Local faculty include Justice Daniel Masinga, who'll talk about the quest for justice, fairness, and equality. Bishop David Oginde, CEO and founder, the Carter Lead Associate. Daniel Kamau, CEO, Fusion Capital. Archbishop Eliud Wabuhala, Chairperson, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Committee. Among other speakers, guest musician will be Florence Morethi. To register, call 722-490325 or visit www.kenyaleadership.org. Everyone wins when a leader gets better.
When the law is broken,
hatuwezi kunyamaza.
The quest for justice is on course.
Stop killing us!
The Constitution is the mother of all.
I'm ready to fight for justice.
Open the door. Open and jail me also.
When there is a conflict, all eyes turn on the law.
I'll challenge the National Rally Commission. Kuja hapa site.
This tall building belonged to the family. He changed almost everything.
Kamati na walete mara moja kotini.
The oppressed want justice. The accused want justice.
Tuliachana na 1996 na mimi kwa Attorney General sijafanya ya hivyo sikuwa nimekata.
Know your laws. We educate you on matters to do with law, justice and legal affairs.
Once an adoption order is given, that child becomes your child. It is not reversible.
Join me as we break down on the complex and simple laws.
If someone who sold that particular property to you was not the genuine owner, that transaction can be said to be a fraudulent transaction.
The application of the law doesn't select the rich or the poor. All want to unlearn and learn new laws.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for keeping it right here. This is the Trauma Healing Program by the Bible Society of Kenya, and today we're looking at the trauma of rape. You know, how to help someone who has been raped find healing, find peace, find justice as well. So this second part, we want to focus on helping someone who has been raped. Before we went for the very short break, we saw that even the rapist deserves help because they face trauma, they face pain, they face guilt, and we look at that. And something else we'll touch on as well is how to help children who are born out of rape. So keep it tuned until the end. So Gladys, let's look at just generally how to help a victim of rape find legal help, as well as take them to the hospital for medical checkup and find healing. Then we'll also come to you, Wanja, tell us your experience, the journey you walked through. Yeah, but right now let's start with Gladys.
Thank you, Faith. The first thing that you need to help victims of rape is by helping them get medical help. And this will mean that you need to preserve the evidence. The evidence that this person has been raped. So within the first 48 hours, if possible, and even if you do not make it in the 48 hours, that doesn't mean that you still can't help the person.
Yeah.
Even 72 hours, whatever time that you have, whatever evidence that is available for that purpose, the doctors will help you to preserve that. So take them to the hospital, walk with them to the hospital, because they are feeling ashamed, as we said. They are feeling naked, they are feeling dirty, they are feeling rejected. They are not themselves. So walk with them to the hospital so that they can get all that treatment, and the doctors will give them the necessary medication so that they do not get STDs, including HIV, so that if they have gotten physical injuries, they can be treated for that. They can also be given medicine to calm their moods so that they don't continue being depressed, being so sad, so sorrowful, and crying all over. They will be given medication for that. After that, when the person has been stabilized, help them seek legal redress to what has happened to them. It is important that this person sees justice done and served for what has happened to her. Those are the primary things that you need to practically help the person do. After you have done that, listen to the person. Or help the person talk to somebody that they trust. And trusted people, I can assure you, nowadays are very few. And many of us, maybe when you get to speak to somebody who has been raped, the first question is, how are you dressed? We normally push the blame to the victim. be the person who can be trusted to speak to this person. Maybe they can get a pastor, they can get somebody who can help them, a counselor who can help them. There are many organizations that can help you to do that. We have, like in Kenya, we have Befrienders Kenya. We have some churches that have a counseling department.
Yeah.
Like CITAM, if you reach out to them, they have a counseling department that can help you overcome this. And then after that, help the person to forgive the person who raped the person, who raped her. Help them after forgiveness, help them through the healing process, so that they no longer live in the dread, in the trauma, in the darkness that they were ushered into when they were raped. Those are some of the things that are very necessary to help somebody or a victim who has been raped. Help them feel loved and accepted. Don't judge them. And when you have done all this, they'll be able to move on with their life, even with a scar, because you can do nothing. You cannot undo what was done. So thank you.
Yeah, very well put. I like the fact that it's now a scar from a wound. It has now healed. It's a scar. Wanja, take us through your journey of healing. You told us you went to rehab, a Christian rehab, and that's where you realized, actually, I have been trying to numb the pain. Yeah, how did you find realization? How did you find peace? How did you find forgiveness?
I must say it took a very long time. Because what happens, not what happens, but what happened to me is that during that period between the rape and every action that I took after that, and everything that I experienced after that, there was a lot of damage. There was a lot of rejection. There was a lot of guilt. There was a lot of shame. There was a lot of pain. There was a lot of hurt. There was so much that was on the inside. And then I get to this place where I realize has been the rape all this time.
Yeah.
And then I am in a safe place. And to be honest, I was in a country where people talk about everything and anything. And so I found myself in a place where I was able to talk about my rape without being judged. And for that reason, I was able to be given the steps and the way forward for me to be able to forgive this person who had raped me. It took a while. Obviously, I had to go back to the incident, rewind the incident, and obviously it was a very, very painful place to go back to. And so after I was able to do that, and I was able to speak about it, at the top of the list, talking about it has been or was the thing that made me heal faster.
Okay.
Now, the things that I had been through, the damage that had been done, those were so many wounds that were on the inside. And so as I talked about this rape, and as I came to a country where this is a taboo, you do not talk about things like that.
Yeah.
I realized that I was facing more rejection. The more I talked about it, the more I was rejected. The more I was labeled. The more I was looked at in a certain way. The more I was insulted, even by talking about it, because going on TV and giving the details, writing a book and putting every fine detail, graphic details about it was making me experience rejection. You know, as opposed to what I would have been thinking, you know, someone will look at this and they want to get help.
Yeah.
I got quite the opposite. I got the insults. I got the rejection. I got all that. But I realized I needed to do this for myself. And I needed to heal. And thank God that I had been brought to a place where I had been shown that for you to be able to heal from this, you have to talk about it and just revive the experience. And then to forgive the person. And I was able to forgive that person. And that was not easy either, but I was able to do that.
Yeah.
But as soon as I was able to do that, there was such a heaviness that left me. So that way I was able to know that that I can talk about this and other people can get healed from this. So the idea of what has made me heal the most, the fact that eventually there's lots of women who have approached me, including men who've been sodomized, who have approached me and they have expressed how they have healed from my story. That is really what has helped me even heal even more. And so the more I've talked about it, the more it has gone on to heal other people and to help other people come out and actually speak about it in a culture that we are not allowed to speak about it. That is the thing that has helped me grow and overcome and actually experience peace about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for being so truthful and sharing that part with us. Gladys, let's look at children who are born out of rape. There has been a sexual intercourse. The victim finds out they're pregnant. They give birth to a baby. What are the special needs of this child, considering probably the parent hasn't gone through healing, is still rejecting this child? What are the needs of the child?
Thank you, Faith. And as you have said, the first need, the special need of this child is rejection. Is to be accepted out of the rejection that this child faces from the mother. The mother doesn't want, this child will be acting as a reminder of the rape. So they will reject the child, they will treat the child with that rejection in the hope that this child can just die. And this evidence will be erased and this will be done away with. The same case will apply to the siblings. If this child is born in a family where there are siblings or relatives, grandparents and everyone, the entire community, and especially if this child doesn't look like them, because you could be raped by a white person and you are a black person, a black person and you are a white person. This child doesn't look like them, so this child doesn't belong. And therefore they will mistreat the child and hate the child, and so the child is unlikely to get the same treatment, basic needs, love, and a child without these things. It is said that in psychology we say that any child that faces an environment of that is not nurturing, that is not safety, learns to live without trust, and that child will not become a mentally healthy person the entire life of that child. And I've seen that in many cases where there are children of Chinese descent, like what we are having in the country today, and people really traumatize those children, asking them, what language do you talk? Which is very unfair for that child. They did not contribute into being born with that color by that person, and it is very unfortunate, especially when rape is involved. And that's what I would say about those children. They suffer rejection and they need acceptance.
They need acceptance, and it is not their fault. Now, looking at them needing acceptance, Wanja, I'll also come back again at you then. How now can we help these children find acceptance, find healing? Because maybe they've grown being rejected, they feel bitter, they wonder, why am I being rejected? So then how can we help them find healing? And does healing include telling them that, you know, you were born as a result of rape?
So thank you, Faith. For these children who have been born as a result of rape, remember there is pain that is with the mother, and there is hurt that has happened. And so in order to be able to help a child, we have to help the whole community in general. Because you cannot deal with a child when the mother has not accepted what has happened, has not been able to forgive the person who raped her, and in order for her to be able to now explain in a very loving way to the child that, you know, this is what happened and you were born as a result of this and this, there has to be a place, she has to be in a place where she has found forgiveness and she's free from any pain, from any guilt, from every hurt. Now, for this child, what will make you know that this child is at an age where she or he is able to understand what is going on is the question that this child is going to go ahead and ask. Say, for example, this has happened in the community and the community knows. So the kid may be asked a question, an off question in school by another kid. You know, kids are very I mean, they are too innocent. They
Yeah.
just ask questions.
Yeah.
And so they might get a question from school, and then they come home and they'll ask the mom, oh, this kid asked me this question and this question. And when the kid has been able to tell you that, then you know that that kid is at an age appropriate, it's age appropriate for you to be able to explain what happened. You will know up to what extent you can explain, up to the understanding of this child. And then when you are able to tell them what happened, then reassure them that they are loved. They are just like any other child. And there is a Father in heaven who loves them even more.
Yeah.
And now if this person that you have been able to forgive is in the picture, get a reconciliation between the two. Let the child know this is your father. And when the child has understood that these are what the circumstances and there has been forgiveness and God has forgiven them for, for everything that happened, then the child is going to be able to be nurtured now from a place of love, where they're not feeling like there's a rejection, where they are not feeling like there's some blame game going on, where they are not feeling like they have to pull to either this side or that side. And though that kind of nurturing will help now the child to grow and even build the confidence in a child. Yes.
Wow. Earlier on, we looked at the rapist deserving of healing as well. Before we conclude, Gladys, take us through the steps of ensuring that a rapist has found healing and a rapist has been helped.
Thank you, Faith. As Waja has said, that we need healing to occur in the entire community so that we can be able to reconcile them. We are not going to trust a rapist who is continuing to rape and introduce him to this child. We want him to have healed as well. And how do we do it? The first step that we do with a rapist is to help him accept the responsibility for what he did. We can do that by also listening to him as he explores the root cause of his desire to rape people. Is it that you are raped? Or is it that, what is the emptiness that is in you, that is causing you to want to rape people? So after they have been able to accept that, explore the root cause, we should help them to heal from that root cause. Every one of us has some brokenness that we are suffering from since the fall of Adam and Eve. So we help him to heal from that. Help him to take his pain to the cross. If he was raped, he was sodomized, he was rejected by the parents and all that, help him to take the pain to the cross. We are going to be looking at that lesson later on as we continue with this program. Then after that, give him somebody to hold him accountable as he continues to grow out of his brokenness, out of his tendency to rape, to fulfill that need to dominate other people. Help him walk with somebody, and if the church is the one that is taking these steps, help him to grow and integrate himself with the community that is within him, so that he can be accepted by other people and he can heal within the community. Faith, we have to know that you cannot heal when you are isolated somewhere. When you are put separately, the trauma continues. And the most important thing is that we have to let the legal process take its own part. Not covering up the person, ensuring that he's not put into prison. There is a pastor who gave us very good responses to that we are going to help him when he's behind the bars. When many of them are taken there behind the bars and we are listening to them when they are there, we are visiting them, we are writing to them, we are accepting them, we are mentoring them, they are transformed and they become transformed people who can also help other rapists to stop the rape. They become our agent to help rapists grow out of the rape or the root causes of rape. Even culturally, they start helping us overcome cultural beliefs and believe in God, the God who does not like dominion, who does not want anybody to dominate the other person. So that's what I would say about helping the rapist.
All right. Thank you for putting it very well. And I like the fact that you've mentioned that justice must happen. The rapist must first accept what they've done and agree to face the consequences, the legal consequences. So I really like that. Forgiveness does not mean that we ignore the fact of what they did. You know, it means if it is behind bars, them being put behind bars, then now helping them transform from there. As we conclude, there's a question coming in. Is it easy to forgive that person? I'd like you, Wanja, to answer this as a survivor, as well as speak briefly to people who are victims of rape right now. They feel shameful, they feel rejected, you know, they're going through what you mentioned you went through. Speak to them, give them hope, just briefly, then we conclude.
Thank you, Faith. Let me just say that as we hear a lot of times that when you do not forgive the other person, it's like you're taking poison and expecting the other person to die. So for example, at some point in time, I was told that that person who raped me was seen somewhere by a friend who knew the both of us, and told me that that person was seen with his wife and kids. Now just imagine if I had still held on to the pain of the rape, the person has moved on with his life, he has wife and kids, and so I would have been suffering, but he's moving on with his life. So one thing that we need to understand, as if you have been raped, is that there is need to forgive, because it will release you and help you heal. We have to understand that the idea of rape started from the time of, in second, where we read about Tamar and Amnon, when she was raped, there was a result of death as a result of that rape. And what happens is that if we don't deal with the issue of rape at the onset, and we allow things to build up, a lot of other things will be affected around you and around the people that are with around you. You know, your loved ones, your parents, your brothers, your husband, everybody around you will get affected. So the first thing, if you're out there, the first thing that you really, really need to do is to get someone who you can talk to and someone that you can trust. And I wish the church would have a way that they address this thing to do with rape, because it's happening everywhere. It's happening so much, and it's affecting us, the generations and the generations to come. So the first thing is open up about it, talk to someone that you trust, and when you do that, a lot of other damages will be prevented, and at the same time you'll be able to heal and grow emotionally from that.
Thank you for sharing your journey and for the lessons and insights. Gladys, would you like to briefly leave a word with our viewers?
Yes, thank you. As to whether it is easy to forgive, we will still have a lesson on forgiveness, and I don't want to preempt that.
All right.
But what I would want to say is that it is not easy.
Okay.
If you think it is not easy to forgive, I agree with you. Peter also wrote about it in 1 Peter. I think it's 1 Peter 2:24. He said that it's not easy. But what we can do is that we can ask God to give us that forgiveness to forgive this person with. You don't have to forgive with your forgiveness. We don't have any, at this particular time when you have been raped, you don't have any forgiveness for that person. Ask Jesus to give you his forgiveness, and you can forgive that person with, and therefore it will help your healing to start. So that's what I would say. So if you are out there, you are suffering, you are languishing in pain of rape and of all those sexual perversions that is all over in the world because of the fall, just call out to Jesus. He hears our prayers, he will answer you, and he will help you with his forgiveness. He forgave us. Romans 5:8 tells us, while you are still sinners, Christ died for us. He'll give you his own forgiveness to forgive that person, and you'll be healed. Thank you.
Wow. That is a very powerful end. Thank you, Gladys. Thank you, Wanja, as well for today, for the words of wisdom, for insight. I believe this program has been insightful, very educative, as well as one that will give you healing and hope, you know, for a second chance, for forgiveness, for healing, and for peace. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Faith Kaulu. This is the Trauma Healing Show by the Bible Society of Kenya. Till next Tuesday, goodbye.